Last year, Joshua Sutcliffe, a maths teacher with strong Christian beliefs, was banned from teaching in England by the Secretary of State after repeatedly calling a child by the sex that she was born in and expressing his beliefs on same-sex marriage in the classroom. However, new government guidance states that there is no general duty that says schools have to agree to change the name or pronouns of pupils, in complete contrast to new advice from the charity Stonewall, which recommend teachers remove any unnecessary gendered language from the classroom. It's no surprise that teachers like Mr. Sutcliffe are getting caught in the crossfire. Well, I'm joined by the man himself now, Joshua Sutcliffe. Joshua, thank you very much for coming in.
It's a pleasure, Jacob. Thank you.
So you were teaching at the St. Aloysius Roman Catholic School in Islington.
I was there for about a year, just over.
Now, if I remember rightly, St. Aloysius is an important saint. I think he might have been a Jesuit, school named after him. You would expect following the teaching of the Catholic Church?
Yes, you're right. Jesuits are renowned for their strong Christian convictions, and sadly, St. Aloysius College didn't necessarily follow in their namesake.
And it's run by the Archdiocese of Westminster. The Cardinal Archbishop of Westminster is the head of the Archdiocese, and it's a Catholic school in his diocese.
Yeah.
Did you have any support from the Catholic Church?
None from the Catholic Church, sadly, no. But I've been supported by the Christian Legal Centre, which has been fantastic thus far.
OK, so let's talk about what you did and what's been proved against you. So you were accused, but this was at a different school, at the Charwell School, between September 2015 and February 2018. You misgendered pupil A, and on more than one occasion, and called pupil A she and her in conversation.
Yes, that's correct. And that was actually one of the principal things that we discussed at the hearing. It was all around this supposed misgendering, and it remains my conviction that we shouldn't be going along with students who are wanting to present in an opposite sex. But I did always try and act professionally, when interacting with the student, and I remain professional. As I sit with you today, I try and treat people with dignity and respect, and I felt I did in that instance, actually.
OK, but this pupil wanted to be known as a boy?
The pupil was presenting as a boy, yes.
And dressed in boys' clothes?
Well, to some extent. I mean, this may be gender, it's maybe difficult to tell, but yes, I suppose so.
Do you think it's fair, though, of you as a teacher to put your views onto a young and vulnerable pupil?
Well, I would say that the contrary was happening, where the pupil was trying to assert their views onto me. I tried to act professionally at all times. I didn't unnecessarily provoke the student. It was actually mentioned in the guidelines that you mentioned in your introduction that you don't have to call a student by their preferred pronouns, that it's okay to hold your convictions about a controversial issue like that. And I felt like I acted within the guidance. If anything, I feel like the guidance vindicates me to some extent, because not only did I hold to those guidelines, but also to the law in our land,
And then one of the other things you were accused of was a YouTube video. Is that right? You showed a Praga-U video. And what is Praga-U? I've never heard of it.
You're
before.
not familiar, Jacob. It's an educational channel that has been created by Dennis Prager, and it's conservative.
So it's Praga-U rather than Praga. I've mispronounced.
So
is mispronouncing as bad as misgendering?
Well, it depends who you ask, I suppose. But it's Praga-U. It's a educational channel. I didn't actually refer the students to that video, but it was alleged that I did.
OK, and that video said things like children growing up without a father have lower life chances than children with a father present.
Yeah.
And this issue here, was this that it was in a maths class rather than, or was this in a general class?
It was alleged that I showed it in a form time, sort of prior to lessons beginning. But as I say, I didn't show it in form time. I think the students found it on their own accord, and I'm not sure how that transpired, to be honest.
And how did you come to misgender? This girl was born a girl, is a girl, has not had any operation, is in all senses biologically a girl, but nonetheless you were found guilty of having called her a girl on This Morning. How did you come to be talking about her on television, and did you name her in any way, or she remained anonymous?
Sorry, you mentioned a few things there, Jacob, but I didn't mention her on television, but that interview was actually brought up in the big hearing that we had, yeah. And that was one of the allegations that I was trying to defend, that I had misgendered according to them. But like you say, this student is actually biologically a girl. And so I, at that time, outside of the presence of that student, felt it was completely appropriate to refer to her by her actual pronouns.
Which seems to me to be a perfectly straightforward thing to do, that this girl wasn't present at that point, was she? And you didn't identify her?
No, I didn't. I never have, actually. That's never...
How did this come to be the business of the panel? What was their argument for including this? They said, OK, this is unfair on her. Were they accusing you in a way of bullying her? Was that the issue?
I think, you're obviously having similar thoughts to what I would have, which is that was maybe outside of their remit to look into. But sadly, they were really just trying to form any case possible against me. I just think they really wanted to make this ruling, sadly.
Do you worry that you may have upset this girl?
I never would want to purposefully upset someone. I always actually try to really help her. That's always my conviction, is to help the people in front of me. That's why I went into teaching. But obviously I recognise that my strong convictions are due to offend people at times, and so I'm not naive to that.
And then there's the issue on the gay marriage, that you handed out leaflets at a public pride march, but you handed it to this girl among other people. Was that slightly provocative of you, to hand an anti-gay marriage leaflet to a girl who thought she was a boy, or thinks she is a boy?
Well, it wasn't intentional. It was actually sort of a narrow part of the road, and I was just handing to everyone coming through on the march, so it wasn't sort of me seeking out said student.
And at this point you were at St Aloysius?
I was actually still in Oxford at that point.
Oh, you were still in Oxford at that point?
That's still that same student.
OK, so had any of this happened at St Aloysius?
No, at St Aloysius I had a pretty clean record, and then I sadly had to depart from them, the school. Anyways, it's part of the case. I could go into the details, but I had to leave, in extenuating circumstances.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining me, Joshua.